Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News. Well, good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News, and let's get right into honoring God with our body. God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable, so I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong in the family, to our family in the faith. God, please protect our bodies and help us to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with our body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And if you are just joining us here this morning on Unfiltered Vision News, that is something we definitely try to say every day here. I want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July Eve. We've got a lot of topics to cover, so I'm going to get into it. And Spud McKenzie, thanks so much for joining, and good morning to you. So let's get to our topics on X. So there's a journalist that faced locked doors at the Trilla office amid privacy bill push. Okay. Cheer LA, CHIRLA. That might be happening somewhere in Los Angeles. Ex-Olympic canoeist, ooh, okay, indicted for damaging Lincoln Memorial Pool. Okay. What are you doing? And Alyssa Thompson, right, we went over that last week. She was unfortunately suspended after hitting Caitlin Clark in the throat. And I don't know what they're going to do, because a lot of these shining rising stars in the NBA and the WNBA, they get injured, they get targeted. It's a thing. It's been a thing for decades. So if you're dealing with this, you've got to deal with it as a whole, right? It shouldn't be happening to anybody. I'm not a fan of anybody being targeted, right? But if you're going to suspend this person, then you're going to have to do it to everybody, right? Not just because they've gone after Caitlin Clark, right? You know what I'm saying? But you're going to have to do it to everyone. So if somebody, the shiny new toy comes in next year and they're targeting that person, is everybody else going to get suspended too? I'm just saying, If you're gonna do it, make sure it's consistent. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm saying. Okay, and with that, let's move on to all sides. Sorry, I'm moving so fast. You guys, I got a lot of news to cover. But I wanted to actually point out this. Tucker Carlson announces plans to create third party after breakup with the GOP. What? We've got one, Tucker. We've got the USA Redemption Party. Call me. Okay. I'll be reaching out on X because we already have a party. We already won. We've already have proof of concept. Let's go. Let's turn it around. Okay. It's necessary. So, conservative commentator Tucker Carlson, right bias, on Wednesday said he planned to help start a new political party after leaving the Republican Party. News outlets across the political spectrum noted Carlson's relationship with President Trump. Absolutely. Like I said, I'm ready for it. We have a better foundation than most smaller parties that start because, in my opinion, a lot of them start out of ideology. And the USA Redemption Party is based on tenets. So check us out at usaredemptionparty.com. Now, with that, we're going to get into our first video. Now, I'm going to cover birthright citizenship first, and then we're going to cover communism because that's what's trying to happen here in the United States. So let's get into it.
Disaster in terms of the 250th anniversary of the United States. It's not Amy Coney Barrett. She's just a law professor who's off there somewhere in her lofty scholarship about textualism and all this other nonsense. John Roberts, on the other hand, authored a decision which is literally futile. And that's what Clarence Thomas says in his dissent. What he says is that whether or not you are a citizen goes back to the principles of common law in England, where who was a subject of the king was literally based on the land that they inhabited at that point in time. You're a citizen under what Roberts says, but you're not really a citizen, you're a subject. And that's the point I want to make. Clarence Thomas rips him apart in 90 pages of absolute constitutional scholarship on something which matters a whole lot to Clarence Thomas, namely the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. The 14th Amendment came into being after the Civil War. It came into being specifically to overturn the Dred Scott decision of the very same Supreme Court of the United States, which said Black people aren't citizens because they are an inferior race and can never qualify as citizens of the United States. And essentially, the 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act, which were passed at the same time after the Civil War about this very issue, as Frederick Douglass wrote constantly, and Clarence Thomas cites Frederick Douglass throughout his decision, we are citizens because we are Americans. We have decided to stay here. We have the intention of staying here, despite the fact that we came here as captives. We adopted the culture of the United States of America. We are citizens because we believe in that culture. So think about that contrast. Clarence Thomas, the Black person, essentially coming up and schooling this Harvard-educated jerk about essentially what the meaning of the 14th Amendment is, while all of these people who are of Robert's liberal persuasion are running around talking about the United States being inherently racist. This was the reckoning. 1 million or more people died in the Civil War over this issue. And for Roberts to be going back to common law and the king to define what is a citizen of the United States is the height of feudalism. Has nothing to do with what the United States is or the perfection of its institutions in the form of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
And you guys have heard me talk about that before. I was like, just soil is an English common law term. It is not a United States terminology. We don't live under the rule of the crown, or do we? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Either we do or we don't. We have a country or we don't, and we have a country. So we don't live under common law from England. We have a constitution. Let's try to follow it.
this week upheld birthright citizenship. The Department of Justice says it will now have a renewed focus on birth tourism. That's people who travel to the U.S. to give birth so their children become American citizens. NBC 7's Shelby Bremer has a look at the issue and this new push.
The specifics of this new push aren't exactly clear beyond more resources, more investigations, and more prosecutions. But here in our border community, we might just feel a bigger impact than most.
Everybody tried to have the best option for the kids.
So even though Manuela is from Mexico, she thought about having her baby last year in San Diego, like a lot of people she knows.
Super common. I know like a 20 or 25 families, and it's insane because it's a bunch of money.
It would have cost about $12,000 in cash, Manuela says. She sold her car to pay for it, but at the last second decided to give birth in Baja, where she lives.
Because we don't want to lose our visa or centuries.
We'll take care of the birthright citizenship because that was not meant for rich people from other countries. That was meant for Actually, it was meant for the babies of slaves.
After the Supreme Court ruled against President Trump in his effort to end birthright citizenship, he vowed further action. Hours after that ruling, the Department of Justice issued this memo directing federal prosecutors to prioritize a crackdown on birth tourism. Pregnant travelers coming to the U.S. for the sole purpose of giving birth to citizens.
What we have to do as the Department of Justice is make sure our agents or HSI agents that we work with and the FBI are focused on stopping that, and that's what we're going to do.
That act of coming to the United States for the sole purpose of giving birth would already be unlawful.
Attorney Andrew Nieter notes while it's not a crime for a non-citizen to give birth in the U.S., to lie in a visa application constitutes fraud. Last month, researchers at Penn State estimated birth tourism accounts for less than 0.3% of all births in the U.S., between 5,000 and 10,000 a year.
It's unclear where all these resources and money would go.
Nieter says the DOJ's new focus for him is a tough sell, with immigration cases already skyrocketing in federal court.
It just means that they have less people to monitor drug importation cases and gang cases and extortion cases. It's a simple question of math.
Manuela says her family made the right choice, but it wasn't easy.
It was hard for us because it was a kind of dream for us to have a baby in the U.S.
This memo highlights 3 prosecutions of people charged with running businesses to help people give birth in the U.S. I asked the DOJ if this new focus is on companies or individuals. They declined to comment further. From the newsroom, Shelby Bremer and...
Well, it's going to be on both, right? So whether somebody is going through a company or whether they are fraudulently filling out a visa application to come over here to have a baby, it's all fraud. So what happens to all of those individuals, let's just say from China, that have already come over here because they lied on their visa applications? So does that, in fact, negate any, U.S. citizenship status for those babies? Because they lied. They told a lie. They lied on their visa application and came over here and said, hey, we're just coming to visit. No harm, no foul. And then had a baby over here and then went back to China. In my opinion, all of their citizenship should be revoked because it was fraudulent. They all lied on their visa applications. So the whole thing is fraud. The whole thing. It's very crazy. And I actually have a special guest with us this morning. Let me bring him on stage. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's everything going?
I'm doing fine. I'm traveling.
Okay. Well, happy 4th early.
Likewise.
Okay. So I don't know if you heard that last article that was playing regarding birthright citizenship. I wanted to get your take on it. It's a hot topic right now.
The birthright citizenship, I mean, that's a straight debacle from the Supreme Court. It makes absolutely no sense. The least of the judges could have thought that one out and got it right. So it was just a debacle made. We as Black Americans born in this country, our descendants had to wait, I mean, for years and years to get citizenship granted to us, and then now the Supreme Court is saying, "Oh wow, you can come here illegally, come here any type of way, birth a baby. You
Mhm.
come in the 9th month, birth a baby, and automatically a citizen." I mean, that really was just straight upside down. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's a slap in the face to a foundation of Black Americans. These people, I don't know what is going on in the heads of these so-called judges or whatever that's been put on the Supreme Court, but I mean, it's totally delusional. Hopefully, the Congress will jump on this and get things in place like it needs to be.
Yeah, because when I was looking at it, it really has destroyed our border administratively, right? Administratively, we no longer have a border. I don't care how many fences you put up. If on paper, to your point, anybody can just walk over here, have a baby, what's to say other people are going to just start demanding to be US citizens,
Right, and that's
right?
correct. We've been saying this, speaking on it for a while. It's not an issue that's just coming up. We've been speaking on it for a good little while with the Chinese birthing industry that's been going on forever,
Mhm.
and our Congress stood by and did absolutely nothing. So it's the fault of our leaders that have been elected, put in elected position, welcoming these people over here to the United States, and now they are being our country is being given away to foreigners, like President Trump said. You come birth the baby, take it on back to China, wherever you come from, raise the baby over there. And what kind of mentality do you think that China's going to have? Then the kid come back to America and then able to run for president, get in all kind of leadership positions, and lead the country in a totally different way.
Yeah, but I think based on what that attorney said, because they fraudulently filled out their visa applications, I think everything could be revoked, in my opinion.
Well,
I
if
think
Congress get on their
there
job,
should be
I
another
agree.
case. There
If
should be
Congress
another
get on their
case.
job and people have the will to do these particular things, because from what I've seen, our leadership don't have the will to even push back against a lot of things that are fraudulent in the United States of America. Take, for instance, Ilhan Omar. She needs to be gone. She's in our Congress. She's stepping on America every single time she opens her mouth. That woman needs to be gone. She should have been removed from Congress, but look at what's going on. I mean, it's just ridiculous and sad.
Yeah, and it's interesting because she does she's got a lot of chutzpah, I'll just say that. And she's like, "You can't remove me." And I'm like, "Ma'am, first of all, you are a naturalized citizen. You are not a born citizen. So we're going to just check that box." But on top of that, the fraud that you are associated with and the individuals committing that fraud, on top of that, you keep speaking against the United States. Don't think you can't be Santos. I
And she does
call it the
that
Santos
because
doctrine.
she does that because she's been emboldened by the Democrat Party and all the thuggery that they push out and welcome in and everybody into the party. So when you does that, you embolden these people to speak like, hey, the country is absolutely nothing. It belongs to us. I just look at how they over here celebrating their Independence Day, waving their flags. I was looking at in Buffalo how they
Yeah,
let them raise the Somalian flag. I mean, it's just nonsense. As you know, the flag got cut down, and
it should have.
offline, I'll tell you who cut it down. But you probably got a
Okay.
clue.
Understood. But it should have been because you're not supposed to
Right.
fly any other flags in this country but ours. And it keeps happening slowly and quietly, all these little different cities and stuff. And it's interesting because a lot of these people, they fled communism to come here. And all
Right.
they've done is just brought it with them.
But
And people are embracing it.
most of them did not. That's just a lie. They didn't flee at nothing. They just came here, and the condition of the country was bad, but they came here.
Mhm.
But that mindset, they brought it with them. So they didn't
Mhm.
really, in a perspective, they didn't just flee from that. They didn't run
Yeah.
from that. I mean,
Yeah, because I
it's
mean, we do have quasi-communism, right? Because we do
right,
have public schools. It's quasi, but it
right,
is
correct,
enforced with capitalism, right? Because without capitalism, communism, we would not be a country. We would be a
right,
dictatorship. Period. Period. The end. And I'm
right,
going to get into
correct.
that with my audience a little bit later. But I wanted you to share about some new things that you're doing and that what you're doing and what you have going on.
Well, we have a new foundation. It's called Black Patriots for America, and the name says a lot, Black Patriots, but it's open for everyone. What our main goal is to bring unity to the United States of America, bring blacks, whites, all Americans together under one umbrella, but it's led by Black Patriots for America. That's the foundation. And the goal of our foundation is to uplift the Black community from the bottom. Some you haven't seen from the NAACP, the Black Caucus. They have not been beneficial to Black American. So we are doing these particular things. We're in talks now with builders to try to get homes, get people in homes, get them out there, extended stay hotels, out their apartments so they can own their own home with a mortgage that is created by the builder and not by the banks or the the credit bureau. These things that we're trying to do so we can get some instant help for our people. As you know, people stay in hotels and stay in apartments. They pay their rent, on time or whatever, and it's about twice as much as the mortgage what costs individuals. So this is what we're doing. We encourage everybody to join Black Patriots for America. We also, if you got a job, you lose your job, and you can't pay your mortgage, step in and pay your mortgage for you. And what we ask that you donate back into the foundation once you get back on your feet. Waka Flocka, I know y'all familiar with him. He was doing the part, if you want to go to technical college or something like that, and you can't afford it, you can't get a grant, financial aid or whatever, he would do it. And the same thing will apply, just donate back into the foundation once you get on your feet. We got a lot of good things going on with registered people. I can tell you in 501c, we did that on purpose because the government can't control you. We don't want to be controlled, and we do not help Democrats. I mean, if you feel like, oh, you're bigotry, hatred, whatever you want to call it, we'll be just that. But we're not going to help any Democrats. The Democrats have been beneficial to our cause in America. We help Republicans as your party line and foundation, which I'm a member Founders Party. We go with all of that.
The
But when it
Redemption Party.
comes Right, redemption part. But when we come to Democrats, we're not doing it. We're just absolutely not going to do it because you chose that line, you chose that field, and y'all gonna have to work it out on your own. But the ones that want to be helped in the Black communities, that is not covered up into the Democratic Party, we will help you. And we welcome you to come over because you need to look at how the Democrat Party have not been beneficial to Black Americans for decades or on decades.
Yeah, and it's truly, truly sad that that's happened, because after you drop and I continue on, please listen. We're going to talk about communism and how the Democratic Party is just embracing it. They're just embrace it. What?
Wow. And and I was looking at the convention, and I think I was in Florida where there was one guy told me to go into hell, all the stuff that they embrace. And everybody just started chanting, we all going to hell. So that tells you a lot. That means they don't give a what they do or how they do it because they already know they're going to hell. So it's nothing to stop them from doing all kind of wickedness. And they just chanted. I was listening to it on yesterday. I was like, it makes absolute no sense. But we have an event on July the 25th in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be in Little 5 Points, and we encourage everyone to join us. We have a motorcade from 285 to Callan Road to Moreland Avenue to Little 5 Points, and then we're going to have the event there with a lot of guest speakers coming in. So we encourage everybody to show up for the event. You can go on bp4a.com, go on the event page, and you can see these things. And also, we have an opportunity page to know what listed and go on and try to get you to apply for a job.
Wonderful. And I'll make sure to list your website on the repost of the show. So thank you so much for joining us. Safe travels. And
it was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Let's see. All right. So that was Derek Gibson, and he is definitely a member for Black Patriots for America. So definitely check that out. And again, I will put his link in the repost of the show. Now we're going to get into our next clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this is from the NAACP.
Race, religion, or their country of origin, and you will fail. You may try to redefine what it means to be an American, and you will fail. We are American. We belong here. And no wannabe king will ever take that away from us.
Well, let's talk some more now about the issues raised. I'm joined here in studio by Patrice Willoughby. She's Chief of Policy and Legislative Affairs for the NAACP, a civil rights organisation here in the US. Patrice, thanks for joining us. First of all, you're obviously welcoming this decision today. Why is it for you so important that this was reaffirmed by the Supreme Court?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. The birthright citizenship decision today reaffirms one of the most important rights that Black Americans have ever won in the United States, envisioned in the 14th Amendment. And birthright citizenship is foundational to how our society functions, and also conferring legitimacy on everyone as of right being born in the United States.
Do you think the original intent of this has become quite muddled up in the issues of what you might call modern day America, and it's very much associated now from those who oppose it, as we just heard there from Stephen Miller and the President, with illegal or undocumented migrants, and not the origins, which was about enslaved people and giving them full rights to citizenship?
Absolutely, because this issue has been conflated with the issue of immigration in a way to disguise the true intent of challenging birthright citizenship. You see, if people are not conferred birthright citizenship upon their birth, then you essentially create an environment where you have a permanent underclass. And then people have to prove their legitimacy. That is something that was done to Black Americans prior to the 14th Amendment, but also in disguising it as a function of immigration, it takes away from the fact that the United States is becoming a more multicultural society, and that we have always welcomed immigrants as part of the American mosaic.
So when President Trump
That wasn't true. I'll let her keep talking.
is posting to say, essentially, this is not the end of the matter, it's up to Congress now, what do you think we're going to see happen next?
I don't think we're going to see anything happen next. I think that the diversity of the Congress and the recognition by Congress members and senators that they represent very diverse districts. Essentially, the president would be asking them to disempower their own constituents. We see across the United States that this issue is polling very poorly, because when the administration began to focus on undocumented immigrants, at first some people were in favor of that. But the administration has really abused its power in affecting citizens and people who have status within the United States. And so this...
Okay, I gotta have her stop talking. Status is not citizenship, period. Temporary status is temporary. Visas are temporary. Green cards are temporary. They can be revoked. Any type of status can be revoked. We do not have to extend anything in this country. Do you understand? Nothing. Not a thing. Especially if you don't go through the proper port of entry to become a citizen. You revoke that the minute you come here illegally. Let me say that again. The minute you come here illegally, you revoke it. You're saying, you know what? I don't care about your laws. I don't care about your country. I just want to benefit and do what I want to do. That's not how this works. But apparently people in the NAACP seem to think so. Now let's get to our next clip.
Feeling regarding the 14th Amendment, saying the original meaning of it does not require inhumane results. We should not adopt an erroneous interpretation of the 14th Amendment simply out of fear of the consequences of rocking the boat or as a reaction to current immigration policy. And Senator Eric Schmidt wanted to talk about this tonight. We said, let's do it. So, sir, this ruling, I think, was really bad. I think it's very regretful for the court. And again, it seems so obvious. As the president has said so many times, this was a 14th Amendment, came right after the 13th that freed the slaves. This was clearly written for the children of slaves. They had no idea that 160 years later that birth tourism would be a problem in this country.
Yeah, and Justice Alito points out the national security risk. I mean, you literally have right now an industry propped up, this birth tourism, where CCP generals in China are sending their wives or girlfriends to come to the United States to give birth, stay for a couple weeks, then go back to communist China, presumably, for 18 years being indoctrinated. And they have at this point now, can come back here on their 18th birthday, contribute, vote, maybe even run for office. I mean, it's a total disaster, Rob, and it's a vast departure from how any serious country views citizenship. And I think it's a sacred bond that unites us together. And when it's cheapened like this, it really is a tragic decision.
It's cheapened, and it's cheapened for a reason, because there's so many different forces that are trying to untether this country in any way they can, to marginalize what it means to be an American, to marginalize our culture, our founding, all the things that are so dear to us. And as we've talked about, there's no other first world Western nation that does this. Go through all of Europe, which is, by the way, far more liberal than the United States. No European nation allows you to just pop into their country, pop out a kid, and then that child is a citizen of the country, and then you can use what we have here, which is chain migration, to start bringing the entire family over. It's utterly outrageous. And I really do think that there is some political element to this. I do think that the court is terrified that they're viewed as over-conservative. I think they're terrified of it being packed. And I think these justices, on occasion, with a big ruling, say, let's throw one the other way to appease the left so that their court doesn't get watered down and packed.
Well, I mean, look, outside of just the practical impact that you've laid out, I mean, just the words alone here, when the 14th Amendment was drafted, along with the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which, as you rightly pointed out, was really meant for the children of slaves. So we fought a civil war, then, of course, the slaves were freed, and when they wanted to make sure that the slaves' kids who were subject to the jurisdiction thereof the United States would be made free, that they were full citizens of the United States of America. They never intended this. In fact, a lot of in the 1866 Act, they talked about not subject to a foreign power, right? So all this was read together. Nobody, including Senator Howard, the drafter of it, never believed this would happen. And so it really is a departure, I think, from the plain meaning of, at the time, how that was understood. But maybe there was political pressure here. I don't really know, but it was a terrible decision. It's going to have disastrous consequences for generations to come, unless there's a temporary action, Rob, the president can take by way of executive order. There's a statutory fix that Kavanaugh opened the door for. We should walk through, or of course a constitutional amendment to seal it.
Constitutional amendment to seal it, which, good luck. Let's show MS Now the reaction to this. Quite interesting from the liberal media. Take a listen.
So you would have hospital systems immediately be paralyzed at the very delivery room and be unable to provide basic medical care because you would be verifying people's citizenship. You would have an increase in ICE enforcement in communities initially because the ICE would have to create policies to apprehend and detain more infants. And so you'd see more family separation, and you're taking away demand in our economy. It is an affordability fight. I hope more leaders realize immigration is an economic cost of living issue.
It's just, it's funny to listen to them lay that out. It's also just wild to listen to the potential complications, because we live in a country that just has tens of millions of illegal aliens, as if that's a normal thing.
I don't know who that person was, but she has no idea what she's talking about. The inflationary cost there is an affordability cost with all the immigration that we've seen, 15 to 20 million people that have flooded into this country with higher rents and higher home prices. And she mentioned the ER, people flooding the ER, and taxpayers have to pay for the health care of illegal immigrants. This is why President Trump, from the very beginning of coming down the escalator, has made this issue front and center in his campaign, has won 2 presidential elections over it. These people are nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, but you can watch the rest of that clip. Now I want to get into a little bit where this slippery slope is really going.
One of the candidates who won in New York last week, Daria-Liza Avia-Chevalier, she's running in New York 13, I believe. Yeah. She repeated sympathetic references to communism, Marxist ideology, Soviet figures like Vladimir Lenin. Do you believe that complicates the argument in favor of these candidates who are Democratic Socialists?
I think Daria-Liza Avila-Chevalier ran a campaign that convinced the voters of her district that she would stand up and fight for them. Whatever labels you want to attach to it, whatever she said, I believe that we've got to understand that Big Tent means Big Tent, and voters have to be respected. And so Are there going to be disagreements about language she may have used? And I'm not sure when that language was used. The campaign that I saw was very much about what working people want.
The language, I'm not sure. Okay, I got one more for y'all.
To pivot from saying socialist to saying communist now is because socialism is actually quite popular. These ideas, whether you
You gotta love this moment. Jayapal saying socialism is quite popular, and Alison Steinberg just throwing that glance at the camera is all of us.
socialism is actually quite popular. These ideas, whether
Socialism has become increasingly popular among Democrats, but it is a much tougher sell in the rest of the electorate. It's a much tougher sell among independents, and this is why Republicans actually think that there could be some electoral opportunities because of these Democratic socialists winning primaries, and why there are a number of mainstream Democrats who are going, I'm not quite sure about that.
you call it socialism or not, they are very popular across the country. So he's got to attach a new label to it. But I'm not concerned. We're all going to be here fighting for the things that that we are for and that we want to deliver for working people.
So is socialism the end goal for progressives at this point?
The end goal is delivering for working people. Universal health care, universal child care, housing investments, a housing bill, by the way, the most consequential in a generation that the president says is a yawn and is unimportant. It is so disrespectful of the things that are happening. And I think, frankly, that that's why there's so much support for many of these candidates across the country.
You just said socialism. Congressman, you just said socialism is very popular. Can you name one socialist country that ended well?
There's plenty of examples of how these policies make a real difference. And I'm excited to make sure that Americans have the access to them. Thank you. Yeah.
You know what? There's still socialism isn't popular.
Steinberg just throwing.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to get into something like super quick that I got to touch on. Oh my goodness. So I kind of asked, I said, have self-avowed communists been removed from the United States? Okay, no, obviously. All right. So then I think I asked another question. I said, can you name any countries that have successful communist society that is thriving and prosperous? No. No country has fully, successfully thriving and prosperous communist society as originally envisioned by Karl Marx and Engels. Because see, to talk about it sounds great. To live it out doesn't work. It never has. If you like communism so much, move to Cuba. Move to Venezuela. Move. Leave. Denounce your citizenship. But we don't want to become like those places. You know what? Because people from those places run here en masse. What are we talking about? Really? Okay. No. All historical attempts have been socialist states governed by communist parties. These feature one-party rule, state party control over key sectors, which means there's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of nothing. Okay? Because all the gimme stop when the money stops. Let's just talk about that. A transitional phase toward communism. Pure communism has never achieved at the national level. Now, here's the kicker. So, key pattern. The most successful cases, China and Vietnam, thrive by incorporating capitalist elements. Ta-da. Just the nonsense. So much. And you guys didn't see all the things that I was like, about, because sometimes I get into it. You guys know me at this point, and I forget to put it on the screen because I'm like, what is going on? But yeah, as you can see in black and white, the most successful cases, China, Vietnam, thrived by incorporating capitalist elements. So no, communism does not work. Socialism does not work. But let's kind of end our broadcast with this person.
is communism?
My name is David Jenkins. I'm a lifelong New Yorker, and today I am again calling on the City Council to disband the NYPD's brutal, unnecessary strategic response group and directly divert its funding to any of the public services fellow New Yorkers have called for today.
I'm planning to run for the MPC at convention under the banner of the Libertarian Socialist Caucus. We're a diverse body of libertarian socialists, libertarian Marxists, anarchists, left communists, and other schools of thought within the sort of left wing of socialist movement. I joined DSA in 2020 and found a home in the Racial Justice Working Group and the Defund NYPD campaign before getting heavily involved in tenant organizing, Red Rabbits, and eventually helping start the Flatbush branch in Brooklyn and serving on the first organizing committee as campaign coordinator.
As an anti-fascist and an abolitionist, and to my knowledge, the only DSA member at a counter-protest on January 6, 2021 in Washington, D.C. So I understand and have lived the stakes of impending fascism. And after years of healing and reflecting on that experience, the thing that I have brought back to my DSA organizing is the necessity for us to fire on all cylinders and to do everything all the time, all at once, and actually work together.
And we're not going anywhere until your goons finally start killing us for these testimonies, because that's where this shit is going. Remember that when you vote.
Between the Zoran campaign and our base building work and building trust and relationships and real socialism in our neighborhoods and communities, okay? So my coherent vision for what I would want to coordinate is through socialism is the people, not better branding, and the anti-Zionist resolution, which will help unleash the amazing outline of potential organizing plans and the immediate steps of the 100 Days campaign. All these things work together.
This morning, more were arrested demonstrating against the disgusting display by outside agitators from Long Island, celebrating a self-deputized racist murderer that the NYPD protected. That is the context for today.
Okay, so we can see it in his eyes. He wants to be a communist. My whole thing is this. Who are you calling when somebody breaks in your house? Are you calling the therapist to come and like talk to the thieves to say, hey, you know what? Stealing really isn't great, but you know what? This is communism, so we all have to share, right? What do? You're calling the police when somebody is trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like you call the police. The biggest communists have the most security. I'm just saying. And why do they need that security? Because nobody likes your policies to the point that they are threatening your life. What? But this is what you want to introduce? No, you don't. See, you're comfortable communist, in my opinion. You are cupcake communist. That's what I'm calling y'all. You're cupcake communist. You know why? Because you have the benefit of capitalism while you're standing over here with freedom of speech, which is not allowed in communism, by the way. You're cupcake communist. You're not real communist. No, you're not. Go live in Cuba for 2 years, not a year, 2 years, not 6 months, 2 years. Let's give this 24 good months. And then we want a whole recap on what you enjoyed about Cuba and communism. That's what I want. I want some real life, feedback, because everybody else that's over there that can get over here, you don't want to go back there. So I just want to see it. I want to see these cupcake communists, figure it out. But I want to wish everybody out there a happy 4th of July. We are celebrating 250 years, regardless of the nonsense going on. God has blessed this country to survive for 250 years. So let's end this with a great prayer. God, thank you so much for this day. Thank you so much for everything that you have given us, everything that you have done for us, Father. We are so grateful. Even in the midst of all the chaos, we know, God, that you reign, that you are sovereign, that you are looking out for us, that you are protecting us, that you are making sure that your children are safe, Father. Yes, there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening that we may not like, Father, but you've told us in your word that there are going to be times like this. We are going to see suffering. We are going to see things fall apart, but we know that you are greater. We know if we hold on to your promise, you will bring us out on the other side. We know when we submit to your word, who you are, and we are in relationship with you, and we are moving forward with you, when your kingdom is moving forward here on this earth, Father, that we will be blessed by it. I pray for safe travels for everyone out there that's going to be visiting family and friends, and the events that are going to be happening all over this country. Please protect those that are going to be outside celebrating with our families. I pray for all of the demonic forces to be quelched this weekend, so that there aren't any shootings, so that there aren't any robberies, so that there aren't any sad situations where where their lives are being threatened, Father. Please, truly, please protect us in this celebratory moment here in our country. We love you, Father. We're so grateful to be here just to pray, just to sit at your feet, God. We love you, and it's in your Son, Jesus, Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. And with that, you guys, have a wonderful new beginning, and I will see you on Monday. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.